Hey there guys, welcome to Anthony Reviews, where Anthony reviews. When we first saw the trailer for the Sonic movie, there was just no way anyone could know that we get 3 of these things. Even after the design overhaul Sonic went through, it was still a stretch to imagine movies and spin-offs and anything else coming from it. But that's exactly what happened. Now, in 2024, we'll be seeing Shadow the Hedgehog make his big screen debut, and of course, to go along with the film, we have new toys from Jakks Pacific. Jakks has had the license for a few years now with Sonic, but they've really taken the brand and ran with it, no pun intended. Now, to represent the third film, we've got fully articulated figures of the main characters. And that's exactly what we'll be looking at today, the 2 characters that represent the hero and the story of darkness, Sonic and Shadow. Unlike previous Jakks figures, the Sonic movie figures are a slightly larger scale. The typical Jakks video game scale is around the 4-inch range. These, however, are closer to 5-inch, with far more articulation points than a regular figure, which kind of gives it an upgraded vibe. Jakks has done this exact same thing before with the 2023 Mario movie toys. Those had extra articulation points and these sort of clear-covered eyes, which the Sonic figures have as well. Since we're already talking about it, let's talk about those eyes. Rather than having simple painted-on eyes, they have this sort of plastic cover. This gives them a bit more life and creates this interesting effect where the eyes slightly move as you move the figures. It's more noticeable on the Mario movie figures in my opinion, but it's still something here. The only problem I've come across with is Shadow. His eyes aren't painted all the way up to his brow, which causes this sort of break in his eyes. If you're looking at him head on, you won't notice it, but from the side or lower angles, it looks odd. I guess we'll go ahead and segue in talking about the paint. I think the paint is decent on these figures. Both Sonic and Shadow are nice, and don't look like they are missing any sort of major details in the paint area. Sonic's mouth is sculpted open, so details like his teeth and his tongue are all painted appropriately. Even though Shadow's eyes have this sort of weird effect on them, they do look nice where they are painted. While I do feel like all the details are on the shoes, how it's applied is kind of sloppy, I would say. You can really tell on sort of the top of Shadow's shoes just how much the white paint is not fully applied, and you see the black sort of seeping through the top. It's not a deal breaker, but it's definitely not high-end paint detail if you ask me. Fortunately, stuff like this is not something you'll notice from a distance if it's on a shelf, but it is a reminder of how companies don't tend to care about paint details when it comes to mass-produced children's toys. While these figures boast more articulation, all the articulation in the world can't help poor paint apps. While the paint leaves room for improvement, the articulation is really nice. The Sonic characters haven't always looked the best when over-articulated. These sort of rubber hose limbs just never leave a lot of room for joints. But these are the movie characters, which have a slightly different build when compared to their video game counterparts. Looking at these two, I actually don't know where you could add any more points of articulation. They've got thigh swivels and ankle tilts, they've got butterfly joints, which are perfect for running poses. These guys have it all. The amount of expression you can get out of Shadow's neck is just fantastic. I love messing around with him to get him into different moody poses. The only real choice I'd question here are the hands. We've got a joint in the fingers that allows them to open their hands or have closed fists. I think the fist looks fine, but the open hand looks odd. Their fingers are already made into a fist shape, so you can't exactly have them with an open palm, so they're not really waving or high-fiving. It just doesn't look right. This sort of practice reminds me of stuff straight out of the Toy Biz era of Marvel Legends, and it's honestly surprising to see it return. Although with all their articulation points, they are still fun to pose and fairly easy to stand. The sculpting on these figures are pretty nice. Once again, I feel the need to bring up the differences between game and movie Sonic. Where game Sonic is more smooth and cartoony, the movie designs are filled with extra furry details. These being movie toys, of course, I feel like Jakks has done a fine job replicating that sort of movie texture of the characters. Other details like the gloves, the shoes, they all look really nice and don't feel like they're lacking any kind of sculptural major detail. I also really like the expressions on the characters' faces. Sonic has a very round and happy face, and he looks kind and welcoming. Shadow, on the other hand, looks angry and moody and really just, you don't want to talk to this guy. He's not in the mood. Both represent the characters and their personalities well. One odd detail that's worth mentioning is Sonic's quills. On the back of his large head, we've got these blue translucent pieces. I assume this was meant for some sort of light-up feature to replicate his sort of powered-up movie look, but no, there's no button on the toy, nor is there any electronics inside, at least as far as I can tell. Maybe these are meant for light piping, like when they hit the light just right, they sort of glow, but no, that doesn't seem to work too well. There are other figures in this line that do have a light-up feature in the head, so is that what was supposed to happen here? Is this head just from all the other Sonics that do light up? I don't know. Unfortunately, this will remain a mystery to me. As I stated earlier, Jakks has had the toy license to Sonic for a while now. Over those years, we've seen real improvement in their output of figures. These Sonic movie figures are great representations of Sonic and Shadow as they appear in their upcoming film, Sonic the Hedgehog 3. If you're a fan of the Sonic films, I'd recommend picking these up. This video is brought to you in part by Hobby Link Japan. If you're a fan of things like Super Sentai or just Japanese media in general, why don't you check out Hobby Link Japan? They've got figures, statues, and a whole horde of different kind of collectibles. Click the link down in the description below to check out Hobby Link Japan today. Thank you guys so much for watching my review of Sonic and Shadow from Jakks Pacific Sonic Movie 3 toy line. I really like these figures. I think these are good figures, and I hope you do too. Let me know what you guys think of the figures down below. If you like what you see here, I do have some other Sonic videos on my channel, as well as plenty of other toy-related videos on my channel. So if you'd like to see more of this in the future, feel free to subscribe for more. Also, feel free to let me know, do you guys want more Sonic videos? I'm a Sonic the Hedgehog fan. Obviously, I bought the figures. I wouldn't buy them if I wasn't a fan of Sonic the Hedgehog, but either way, let me know if you guys want more of this in the future, and as I mentioned earlier, subscribe so that you can see that stuff in the future. And I guess that is pretty much it. Thank you guys once again so much for watching. Take care.